The first ever NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series superstar, Mike Skinner. 50 poles, 28 victories, and the first ever Craftsman Truck Series championship. 1997 NASCAR Cup Series Rookie of the Year, and Dale Earnhardt's first full-time teammate. Mike Skinner is a former race car driver who competed in the NASCAR Cup Series, Busch Series, and the Craftsman Truck Series from 1986 through 2012. His racing career began in the 1970s, competing in a Plymouth Roadrunner at several California dirt tracks, finding success, winning 3 track championships, before moving east to North Carolina and beginning work as a crew member for Petty Enterprises and Rusty Wallace. Given the opportunity to begin to run the occasional race in 1986, making his NASCAR Cup Series debut driving a number 19 Pontiac for Zaneworth Racing at Martinsville in the spring. He made 3 Cup Series starts in 1986, with the best finish of 22nd at Martinsville. In 1987, Skinner made his Busch Series debut at Darlington, behind the wheel of a Hunt Tire-sponsored number 0 Oldsmobile, finishing 27th. Not making another NASCAR start until 1990, when he made a one-off start at Rockingham for Mansion Motorsports, behind the wheel of the team's number 13 Glidden Paint Buick, finishing 35th following a rear-end failure during the race, making another 5 starts behind the wheel of Theo Dixon's Mansion Motorsports number 13s and number 85 Chevrolets. Skinner's best finish was 23rd at Rockingham in the spring of 1992. Also making his return to the Busch Series in 1992, driving a Barry Owen Racing number 91 Oldsmobile at Charlotte in the fall, finishing 28th. Still yet to really find his place in the NASCAR world, Mike Skinner was making occasional starts in both the NASCAR Cup Series as well as the Busch Series in 1993 and 94, making 2 Cup Series starts behind the wheel of Jimmy Means' number 52 Ford, with the best finish of 31st at Rockingham in the spring of 94. As far as the Busch Series, he made 7 attempts, qualifying 5 times, behind the wheel of Gene Petty's number 88 Kentucky Fried Chicken Chevrolet, with the best start of 1st at Charlotte in the spring, and his best finish was 26th at Hickory in the summer. Also beginning to race late models for Petty as well, even winning a track championship in 94. This is what first got Richard Childress' attention. Childress would end up signing Mike Skinner to drive for Richard Childress Racing in NASCAR's new Super Truck Series, now the Craftsman Truck Series, starting in 1995, behind the wheel of a number 3 GM Goodrich Chevy Silverado with the exact same paint scheme as Dale Earnhardt. Rich Burgess served as Skinner's crew chief starting in 1995. Skinner and that Richard Childress Racing number 3 Truck Series team dominated the new series that first season, leading the point standings for 12 out of the 20 weeks throughout the season, and winning 9 poles and 8 races, including both races at Phoenix, then Portland, I-70 Speedway, Louisville, Milwaukee, Indianapolis Raceway Park, and Mesa Martin. Overall, in 20 Craftsman Truck Series starts, Skinner scored 9 poles, 8 wins, 17 top 5s, and 18 top 10s, winning the inaugural 1995 Super Truck Series championship. Obviously returning to the Craftsman Truck Series to defend his championship, Mike Skinner reprised his role as the driver of Richard Childress Racing's number 3 GM Goodrich Chevy Silverado. They were again one of the top teams in the series in 96, but they didn't repeat as champion. Skinner's best start was first 5 times at Phoenix, Bristol, IRP, Loudon, and Sonoma. His best finish was first 8 times at Tucson, Colorado, Topeka in the spring, IRP and Flemington and Richmond in the summer, Martinsville and Mesa Martin in the fall. Overall, in 24 starts, Skinner scored 5 poles, 8 wins, 17 top 5s, and 20 top 10s, finishing 3rd in final Craftsman Truck Series point standings. It had been discussed that Richard Childress Racing was trying to expand into a multi-car operation in the Cup Series. Since Skinner had been finding so much success with the team's Craftsman Truck Series program, Childress decided to start fielding him in select Cup Series races. Skinner made 5 starts in 1996 in the NASCAR Cup Series, all behind the wheel of a number 31 Realtree Camouflage Chevrolet. His best start was 2nd at Phoenix in the fall, and his best finish was 12th at Rockingham in the spring. Dale Earnhardt needed a relief driver at Indianapolis due to an injury. Skinner ended up finishing the number 3 car 9th that day. Officially in 1997, Richard Childress Racing expanded into a 2-car Cup Series operation, signing Skinner on to drive for the team full-time, behind the wheel of number 31, Lowe's Chevrolet. Competing as Dale Earnhardt's first ever teammate in the NASCAR Cup Series. Earnhardt didn't really want a teammate, as this was nothing personal at all. Back during this time, drivers didn't yet understand the advantages of having teammates. Kevin Hamlin served as Skinner's crew chief in '97. Competing for Rookie of the Year honors in the Cup Series, Skinner's best start was first twice at both Daytona races. His best finish was 6th at Pocono. Overall, in 31 starts, Skinner scored 2 poles, 0 wins, 0 top 5s, and 3 top 10s, finishing 30th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. In the 1990s, NASCAR had this race called the NASCAR Thunder Special, ran at tracks in Japan. Skinner started 4th and finished 1st, winning the exhibition event, winning Rookie of the Year honors in 1997 along the way as well, only making select starts in the Craftsman Truck Series, making 4 altogether, behind the wheel of Dana Dorman's number 93 Lumar Window Films Chevrolet. Skinner's best start was 4th at Topeka in the summer. His best finish was 4th at Homestead in the spring. Overall, in 4 Craftsman Truck Series starts, Skinner scored 2 top 5s and 2 top 10s. Now, Skinner's sophomore season in the NASCAR Cup Series didn't exactly start all that amazing, but by mid-season, along with the crew chief swap from Hamlin to Larry McReynolds, that number 31 team really became rather competitive. He was injured at Texas in April in a bad accident. He broke his wrist and shoulder, bruised his neck, and was banged up pretty bad all over. He missed 3 races due to his injuries. Skinner's best start was 2nd at Bristol in the fall. His best finish was 3rd twice at Watkins Glen in the summer and Daytona in the fall. Overall, in 30 starts, Skinner scored 4 top 5s and 9 top 10s, finishing 21st in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Running the final NASCAR Thunder Special in Japan at Twin Ring Motegi, Skinner started 3rd, led 94 out of 201 laps, and won the event. This was the 2nd year in a row that Skinner and that number 31 team won the NASCAR Thunder Special, making 2 more Craftsman Truck Series starts in '98, this time behind the wheel of a self-owned number 5 Lumar Window Films Chevrolet. His best start was 5th at Disney in the spring, and his best finish was 5th at California in early summer. With Larry McReynolds atop the pit box and Richard Childress Racing equipment, 1999 ended up being Mike Skinner's best season he would ever have in the NASCAR Cup Series, actually leading the series point standings for 3 straight weeks early in the season, even finishing the season inside the top 10 in final point standings for the first and only time. Skinner's best start was 1st twice at Pocono in July and Richmond in the fall. His best finish was 3rd at Charlotte in the fall. Overall, in 34 starts, Skinner scored 2 poles, 0 wins, 5 top 5s, and 14 top 10s, finishing 10th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Then in the Busch Series, Mike made his return after several years without making a start, making select starts behind the wheel of David Ridling's Team Yellow Racing number 19 Yellow Freight Systems Chevrolet. Skinner's best start was 10th at Charlotte in the spring, and his best finish was 1st at Atlanta in the spring. This was Skinner's first and only career Busch Series victory. Overall, in 13 starts, Skinner scored 1 win, 1 top 5, and 3 top 10s. Brand new century, the year 2000. Mike Skinner remained the driver of Richard Childress Racing's number 31 Lowe's Chevrolet full-time. This was another pretty solid season, but not quite as strong as the season prior. Skinner's best start was 1st at California in the spring. His best finish was 2nd at Talladega in the spring. Overall, in 34 starts, Skinner scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 1 top 5, and 11 top 10s, finishing 12th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Again in the Busch Series, he made select starts, but this season it was for 2 different race teams. The first 2 starts were behind the wheel of that number 19 Yellow Freight System Chevrolet. His best start was 29th at Daytona in the spring, and his best finish was 32nd at Atlanta in the spring. Starting at California, Mike Skinner changed teams as he began making occasional starts for Andy Petrie behind the wheel of his number 15 Albertsons Chevrolet. Skinner's best start was 1st at Dover in the fall, and his best finish was 3rd at Phoenix in the fall. Overall, in 8 Busch Series starts, Skinner scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 1 top 5, and 2 top 10s. At the conclusion of the 2000 NASCAR Cup Series season, Mike Skinner's crew chief, Larry McReynolds, was offered a spot on the Fox Announce team for NASCAR. Therefore, he retired from full-time crew chiefing. Even without McReynolds, Mike Skinner returned to the number 31 Lowe's Chevrolet in 2001. Royce McGee took over as the number 31 team's new crew chief. The dynamic just wasn't the same. Skinner also suffered injuries in a bad accident at the new Chicagoland Speedway after cutting a right front tire and crashing hard into the Turn 1 wall, forcing him to miss 5 races after suffering a concussion, a broken ankle, and a torn ACL in the Chicagoland accident. Robbie Gordon filled in for Skinner these 5 races and scored a few top 10s. Skinner ended up returning temporarily, starting at Michigan. Though another accident, this time at Richmond, made Skinner decide to get surgery on his torn ACL. This took him out for the remainder of the season. Richard Childress announced that Robbie Gordon would be taking over the number 31 for the rest of the season and going forward. Skinner was released from his Richard Childress Racing contract. His best start was second at Bristol in the fall, and his best finish was 9th in Atlanta in the spring. Overall, in 23 starts, Skinner scored 1 top 10. In the Busch Series, Skinner served as the driver of Richard Childress Racing's number 21 Rockwell Automation's Chevrolet, making 14 starts. His best start was first at Bristol in the fall, and his best finish was second at Chicagoland in the summer. Overall, in 14 Busch Series starts, Skinner scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 6 top 5s, and 9 top 10s. A brand new season meant a brand new team for Mike Skinner in 2002, becoming the new driver of Morgan McClure Motorsports' number 4 Kodak Film Chevrolet full-time. Scott Eggleston began the season as Skinner's crew chief until race 12 in Charlotte, when Chris Carrier took over the position. Skinner's best start was second at Loudon in the summer, and his best finish was 6th at Rockingham in the fall. Overall, in 36 starts, Skinner scored 1 top 10, finishing 31st in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings, remaining the driver of Morgan McClure Motorsports' number 4 Kodak Film Pontiac, the first part of the 2003 NASCAR Cup Series season. The team switched from Chevrolets to Pontiacs because Joe Gibbs Racing made the switch in 2003 from Pontiacs to Chevrolets, which meant a smaller one-car operation, such as Morgan McClure, would not get much, if any, factory support if they remained Chevrolet. Skinner remained the driver of the number 4 Pontiac for the first 15 races of the 2003 season, qualifying for the first 14, missing the field in race 15 at Michigan. That's what made the team decide to go ahead and part ways with Skinner, following the D&Q of race 15. Skinner's best start in that number 4 was 3rd at Charlotte in the spring, and his best finish was 11th at Darlington in the spring. Starting at race 21 in Indianapolis, MB2 Motorsports hired Mike to drive the number 01 U.S. Army Pontiac, making 11 starts before Joe Nemechek took over the number 01 Pontiac following the fall Martinsville race, in preparation for becoming the team's full-time driver in 2004. Skinner's best start was first at Richmond in the fall, and his best finish was 18th twice at Bristol and Richmond in the fall. The final NASCAR Cup Series start Mike Skinner would make in 2003 would come in the season finale at Homestead, behind the wheel of Michael Waltrip's 00 Bacardi Chevrolet, starting 17th and finishing 39th, only making 1 Busch Series start in 2003 at Indianapolis Raceway Park, behind the wheel of Ed Evans' number 7 Kleenex Chevrolet, starting 9th and finishing 7th. Also returning to the Craftsman Truck Series for the first time since 1998, making 4 starts for Billy Ballou Motorsports, number 15 Dodge. Skinner's best start was 7th at IRP in the summer, and his best finish was 12th at Gateway in the summer. Overall, in 4 Craftsman Truck Series starts, Skinner scored 3 top 15s and 3 top 20s. Only making a one-off start in the Daytona 500 in the NASCAR Cup Series, returning to Richard Childress Racing behind the wheel of a number 33 Bass Pro Shops Tracker Boats Chevrolet, starting 43rd and finishing 22nd in 2004. After making a very serious run at becoming a star in the Cup Series, Skinner returned to where he first struck gold in NASCAR, the Craftsman Truck Series, becoming the full-time driver of Bang Racing's number 42 Toyota. Just after midway through the season, Bang Racing and Toyota had a major disagreement, resulting in Bang Racing selling the race team to Bill Davis Racing. Rick Wren began the season as Skinner's crew chief until race 9. Eric Phillips and Wren took turns as his crew chief until race 13 in Michigan, when John Monson took over going forward. When Bill Davis became the owner of the race team, Skinner's number changed from 42 to 5. His best start was first, twice, at Las Vegas and Texas in the fall. His best finish was second in Atlanta in the spring. Overall, in 25 starts, Skinner scored 2 poles, 0 wins, 4 top 5s, and 9 top 10s, finishing 11th in final Craftsman Truck Series point standings. The 2005 NASCAR Cup Series season saw Mike Skinner make starts for 3 different teams. His first 5 starts were behind the wheel of Bill Davis Racing's number 23 Dodge. Skinner's best start was 7th at Daytona in the spring, and his best finish was 29th at Indianapolis in the summer. At Talladega in the fall, he made a one-off start behind the wheel of Michael Waltrip's 00 Aaron's Ford, starting 35th and finishing 43rd. The final 4 races of the 2005 Cup Series season were run for John Carter's number 37 Patron Tequila Dodge. Skinner's best start was 15th in Atlanta in the fall, and his best finish was 37th at Phoenix in the fall. Back in the Craftsman Truck Series, Mike Skinner returned to his full-time Bill Davis Racing number 5 Toyota Tundra. Jeff Hensley became Skinner's new crew chief starting in 2005. After a bit of a rocky start to the season, Mike Skinner and that number 5 Toyota truck ended up having a solid year, winning a couple times and finishing the season inside the top 5 in final points. Skinner's best start was first, 7 times, both Texas races, California and Charlotte in the spring, Nashville in the summer, Las Vegas and Atlanta in the fall. His best finish was first, twice, at Bristol and Richmond in the late summer. Overall, in 25 starts, Skinner scored 7 poles, 2 wins, 9 top 5s, and 13 top 10s, finishing 5th in final Craftsman Truck Series point standings. The following season, in 2006, Skinner made 13 attempts in the NASCAR Cup Series for 5 different race teams, qualifying 4 times, missing the Daytona 500, driving Bill Davis Racing's number 23 Bad Boy Motors Toyota, also missing the field at Las Vegas, Atlanta, and Bristol, behind the wheel of John Carter's number 37 Dodge. Finally, at race 15 in Michigan, Skinner was able to qualify Front Row Motorsports number 34 Chevrolet 43rd on his way to finishing 37th. In Indianapolis, Skinner qualified Carter's number 37 Dodge, a solid 17th, and finished 37th. Missing the field for the second Michigan race in an attempt for Front Row Motorsports, DNQing again at Bristol the next week, this time for Carter's R&J Racing. For Charlotte and Martinsville, Skinner is behind the wheel of Brian Malut's number 72 Dutch Quality Stove Chevrolet, qualifying for both races. His best start was 29th at Charlotte, and his best finish was 39th at Martinsville. Missing the next 2 races, still driving that number 72. Also missing the season finale in Homestead, driving for Kirk Shelmerdine in that number 27 Chevrolet. Mike Skinner ended up making the final 9 Busch Series starts of his career, behind the wheel of Armando Fitt's number 12 Supercuts Dodge. Future NASCAR Cup Series Championship crew chief Paul Wolfe served as the crew chief while driving that number 12. Skinner's best start was 4th at Charlotte in the fall, and his best finish was 10th also at Charlotte in the fall. Overall, 9 starts, Skinner scored 1 top 10, continuing to drive for Bill Davis in the Craftsman Truck Series full-time in the number 5 Toyota. Skinner's best start was first, 8 times, at Charlotte, Texas, and Michigan in the spring, Kansas in the summer, Loudon, Las Vegas, Atlanta, and Homestead in the fall. His best finish was first at Las Vegas in the fall. Overall, in 25 starts, Skinner scored 8 poles, 1 win, 8 top 5s, and 13 top 10s, finishing 10th in final Craftsman Truck Series point standings. In 2007, Mike Skinner made 3 NASCAR Cup Series attempts, all for Bill Davis Racing. 1 behind the wheel of the team's number 23 Dodge for the Daytona 500, missing the field. Then later in the season, after the team parted ways with Jeremy Mayfield, Skinner made 2 attempts, qualifying for the Fall Texas race, behind the wheel of the number 36 360 OTC Toyota, starting 14th and finishing 24th. Also continuing to serve as a full-time driver of Bill Davis Racing's number 5 Toyota. In the Craftsman Truck Series, the 2007 season was a very strong season for Skinner, leading series points for 15 consecutive weeks, 19 weeks throughout the 25-week season. Skinner's best start was first, 12 times, including 6 in a row early in the year. At Atlanta, Martinsville, Kansas, Charlotte, Mansfield, and Dover in the spring, Milwaukee, IRP, and Nashville in the summer, Gateway, Texas, and Phoenix in the fall. His best finish was first 5 times, both Martinsville races, California and Atlanta in the spring, then Kentucky in the summer. Overall, in 25 starts, Skinner scored 12 poles, 5 wins, 17 top 5s, and 20 top 10s, finishing second in final Craftsman Truck Series point standings. For 2008, Skinner made some Cup Series starts for whatever teams would present him the opportunity, making 12 attempts in all for 3 different race teams. He qualified 11 times, making 2 attempts behind the wheel of Bill Davis's number 27 Bad Boy Motors Toyota, qualifying at Las Vegas in the spring, starting 5th and finishing 30th. The next week, he started driving the number 84 Red Bull Toyota. This because original driver A.J. Allmendinger was having issues qualifying the car in races. Skinner made 5 starts qualifying and racing the number 84, allowing the team and driver to learn and hopefully improve. Later in the season, once Red Bull Racing had made the decision that Allmendinger was not returning to the team the following year, Skinner returned to the number 84 for a couple more starts. Skinner's best start in the number 84 was 9th at Texas in the spring, and his best finish was 27th in Atlanta in the spring. In between stints making starts for Red Bull Racing, Skinner made 3 starts for Michael Waltrip, behind the wheel of his number 00 Toyota. Skinner's best start was 22nd at Michigan in the late summer. His best finish was 28th at Bristol in the late summer. After such a strong season the season prior, Mike Skinner was hoping for another season similar. 2008 was not quite as successful, but successful nonetheless. Hensley began the season as Skinner's crew chief, but Joe Lax took over, starting at race 12 in Memphis. Doug Reichert replaced Lax, starting at race 19 in Las Vegas. Skinner's best start was first 4 times, at Dover in Michigan in the spring, Kentucky in the summer, and Homestead in the fall. His best finish was first at Las Vegas in the fall. Overall, in 25 starts, Skinner scored 4 poles, 1 win, 5 top 5s, and 18 top 10s, finishing 6th in final Craftsman Truck Series point standings. Again, making starts for what team would give him the opportunity in the NASCAR Cup Series. Skinner made 9 attempts for 3 different race teams, attempting and missing the Daytona 500 in Robert Richardson's number 23 Chevrolet, then making 6 attempts, qualifying 4 times behind the wheel of Tommy Baldwin Racing's number 36 Toyota. Skinner's best start was 34th at Dover in the spring, and his best finish was 39th at Chicagoland in the summer. Also making 2 attempts in the Racing Group's number 70 Chevrolet, qualifying for the Fall Texas race, starting 23rd and finishing 43rd. Once again reprising his role as driver of the number 5 Toyota Tundra in the Craftsman Truck Series full-time. But following the 2008 season, Bill Davis Racing, the team Skinner had drove for the past several seasons, went bankrupt. Randy Moss, the NFL Hall of Famer, and David Dollar purchased the number 5 team. So Mike Skinner started driving for Randy Moss Motorsports in 2009. Eric Phillips served as Skinner's crew chief for the 2009 season. Even though he was driving for a new owner, he had a strong 2009, spending only 1 week outside the top 5 in point standings. Skinner's best start was first 3 times, at Iowa, Loudon, and Martinsville in the fall. His best finish was first, also 3 times, at Kansas in the spring, then Iowa and Gateway in the fall. Overall, in 25 starts, Skinner scored 3 poles, 3 wins, 8 top 5s, and 17 top 10s, finishing 3rd in final Craftsman Truck Series point standings. The 2010 Craftsman Truck Series season ended up being the final full-time season Mike Skinner would compete in any series in NASCAR. Returning to Randy Moss Motorsports, number 5 International Truck Monaco RB's Toyota. Gene Need began the season as his crew chief until race 8 in Texas, when team manager Stacy Johnson took over the position. 2010 was not nearly as strong as 2009 for Skinner, but he still spent the majority of the season inside the top 10 in point standings. His best start was 3rd at Kentucky in the fall. His best finish was 4th twice, at Texas in the spring and Bristol in the summer. Overall, in 25 starts, Skinner scored 2 top 5s and 13 top 10s, finishing 8th in final Craftsman Truck Series point standings. After a disappointing season, Skinner and Randy Moss Motorsports decided to part ways at the conclusion of the 2010 season, returning to the NASCAR Cup Series in 2011, making his first couple starts early in the season in Fastlane Racing's number 32 Ford. Skinner's best start was 29th at Las Vegas in the spring, and his best finish was 24th at Phoenix in the spring. Then, starting at Martinsville in the spring, he began starting and parking Germain Racing's number 60 Big Red Toyota, making 23 attempts, qualifying 15 times. Skinner's best start was 29th at Daytona in the summer, and his best finish was 40th 4 times, at Darlington in the spring, Kansas, Daytona, and Indianapolis in the summer. In the fall Atlanta race, Skinner made a one-off start in Tommy Baldwin's number 36 Chevrolet, when Dave Blaney was not able to drive, starting 35th and finishing 27th. For the 2011 Cup Series season's final few races, Skinner was behind the wheel of Larry Gunzelman's number 37 Ford, making 4 attempts, qualifying 3 times. Skinner's best start was 36th at Phoenix in the fall. His best finish was 41st at Texas in the fall. Back down in the Craftsman Truck Series, Skinner only made 2 attempts, qualifying for the spring Phoenix race behind the wheel of Eddie Sharp's number 45 Toyota, starting 36th and finishing 24th. The final season that Mike Skinner ever made a start or even an attempt in NASCAR was 2012, making 5 NASCAR Cup Series attempts for 3 different teams. He qualified 4 times, making 2 attempts behind the wheel of the Hamilton Means Racing number 52 Toyota, qualifying at Darlington in the spring, starting 35th and finishing 41st. At Indianapolis, Skinner made a one-off start behind the wheel of Archie St. Hilaire's number 79 Ford, starting 39th and finishing 42nd. The final 2 starts of the 2012 season, and in fact ended up being the final 2 starts of Mike Skinner's entire NASCAR Cup Series career, were made in Phil Parson Racing's number 98 Ford, with a best start of 43rd twice at Pocono in Michigan in the summer. His best finish was 39th at Michigan in the summer. The final Craftsman Truck Series start that Skinner would ever make came at Daytona in the spring of 2012, behind the wheel of Eddie Sharp Racing's number 8 Chevrolet, starting 13th and finishing 33rd. Deciding to retire from professional motorsports at the conclusion of the 2012 season for a couple reasons: a lack of top-tier equipment available to him, as well as health concerns. Mike Skinner was a successful race car driver, making it all the way to the top in NASCAR, winning over 24 races and a championship in the Craftsman Truck Series, the very first championship of that entire series, in fact. He was even Dale Earnhardt's only teammate. So, in 286 NASCAR Cup Series starts, Mike Skinner scored 6 poles, 0 wins, 10 top 5s, and 39 top 10s, with a best points finish at 10th in 1999. In 52 Busch Series starts, Skinner scored 3 poles, 1 win, 8 top 5s, and 16 top 10s, with a best points finish at 27th in 2001. In 231 Craftsman Truck Series starts, Skinner scored 50 poles, 28 wins, 90 top 5s, and 144 top 10s, winning the 1995 Craftsman Truck Series Championship.